Hello, welcome to Miniature Realms. My name's Stuart and welcome to project vlog number 1 of my Battle of Five Armies project. Now, I wasn't planning on starting this for probably another couple of months yet really, or at least not doing any videos for it, but I've had such a good reception for the initial video where I kind of wouldn't really unbox but went through the box of Battle of Five Armies that I have, talked a little bit about the miniatures and about some of the plans I have as well, and I've had so many comments about it, other people that are cracking open their boxes or purchasing things and are looking to do the same thing as well. I thought that as I had done a little bit, I thought I'd start the vlog now and share it with you. Now, I don't know how quickly the vlog number 2 will come after this. Actually, you know, if you're a subscriber to the channel, you'll know I've got a few projects on the go at the moment, and some are bigger than others, and this is more of a slow grow one. But I thought I'd sort of share my progress for now, and also just sort of highlight again what my plans are. I rambled a bit in the original video, and I'll pop a little link in now for that, but I rambled a bit through that video talking about potential plans, and I've kind of formalised those and finalised those in my head now and the way it works. You'll see here I've actually painted 3 test stands. I'll show you those a little bit closer in a moment, but what I started with really was I went through the box of what I have. I have a basic set, and I want to expand it in the future. So stage 1 of the plan will be just taking the game as a new game, so to speak. I'm working my way through painting everything that comes in the starter set, learning the game and playing the Battle of Five Armies scenario that's in the box. That's stage 1. Stage 2 will be to get my friend Dan, who's a co-host of my Middle-earth podcast, Out of the Frying Pan, to paint his stuff that I've sent him, and he has pretty much all of the miniatures again, barring the characters, and get him to paint his, and then we'll have an even bigger game of Battle of Five Armies, and then stage 3 will be expanding upon it to fight other battles in Middle-earth, with the big goal of fighting a version of Helm's Deep, expanding the armies using what I think at the moment will mostly be cobblestone miniatures. Now, at risk of kind of repeating the things in my initial video, which wasn't a vlog video really, but did kind of set out what I intend to do, I'll keep this a little bit shorter and send you back to the other video if you want to look in more detail. But this is the range that the cobblestone castings do for the 10mm fantasy. The reason I'm looking at these first, and I know there are other ranges around, excellent Pendraken and so on, is that the style of the sculpts look almost identical to the plastic Games Workshop miniatures from the Battle of Five Armies. The aesthetic, I would say, matches, and that's the route I'm going to go down. And as it stands, I've just placed my first little order. A bit of a mix of things. A couple of things I wanted, like the heroes, which maybe not so needed in a game of this sort of size, and a few extra other little bits that I maybe would need for Helm's Deep more than anything else, just to see what they're like really. And then when they arrive, I will do a little bit of a review with them and sort of show you guys close up and talk about what I think. And then expanding a little bit more on my plans for Helm's Deep. Now, I went through this in a little bit more detail in that first sort of rambling video, is that I wanted to do a bit of a joint game along with lots of friends, and using Middle-earth strategy battle game as well, which is a 28mm more skirmish sort of size version of Lord of the Rings, for those of you that are unaware, made by Games Workshop, and it's their current game for Lord of the Rings. Originally I was going to do a big siege game at that scale, but I thought that maybe I'll do a bit of a breakout style of game where there's a siege game, a big massive siege in the 10mm using Battle of Five Armies, and then some little breakout tables doing significant parts of the battle. So the breach, you know, the riding out at the end, those kind of things, iconic moments from the books and films. And there's some scenarios already written for those by Games Workshop in one of their more recent publications. So I'll go into that in more detail, but one of the big things I need is obviously a 10mm Helm's Deep castle. And I think that's probably going to involve scratch building, but I did find this. And now this from Toshack Miniatures is Cragen Vale Keep, and it's clearly designed to be a Helm's Deep. It looks very much like the Helm's Deep from the film, with a few sort of obvious differences in design. And it's you buy the files to print, not 3D print, by the way. This is to print onto card, and then you sort of cut it out and put it together yourself. Now I think it looks fantastic. What it looks like up close, I'm not so sure. And also my printer isn't brilliant, and I'm not sure buying an expensive printer would be worth it. And I have built a few card things before when you've got to cut it all out yourself. I don't know how painful it would be, and I want it to look quite nice and neat as well. So I'm a little bit torn. I quite like the idea of how it looks. Whether I can get it printed professionally somewhere, on some card, or even some foam card or something, I don't know. Foam card would be good, and then cut it out that way and stick it together, and maybe print it out a couple of times and adjust it slightly to make it look a little bit more like the film, if I like that aesthetic. But this is definitely a possibility, and then $10 for the file in order to print, then that's not too bad. So maybe tempted just to purchase it anyway, have a look at the quality of the imagery and see if I can do it that way. The other way would be, say, scratch building out of blue foam or something like that. As it stands, I don't think there's any. I've not seen any 3D files around for decent quality. There was a very, very, very good one out a couple of years, and it's disappeared, and I'm sure that that's through copyright reasons, whether that be through Games Workshop or New Line and Warner Brothers themselves have asked them to remove it because it was the exact copy in terms of aesthetic, and that's fair enough. Whereas this is, close enough that you know what it's supposed to be, but also different enough that it's not really breaking any rules. And I don't know, but I'll be interested to see what people think. Anyone that's used these before, maybe, or have experience with card models. I want it to be robust, so I definitely want to be sticking it on foam board. I want it to look neat, but I also don't want it to take me a million years. I'd rather paint things than spend weeks and weeks and weeks painstakingly cutting this out of card. But I'm tempted. I am tempted, and this may well solve the problem. So let me know what your thoughts are. And let's finish off by having a quick look at what I painted. I just did some test stands of the evil armies. So this is the wargs. They were zenithal highlighted, which is the way I do with everything this scale, it seems. So black prime, white zenithal with the airbrush on the top, and then a quick dry brush in white, and then it's contrast over the top, and it's mainly wildwood, a little bit of snake white leather on one of them to give it a slightly different look. And then afterwards I've dry brushed. I haven't got the colours in front of me actually. I do have a picture to record them, but dry brushed with a couple of colours. Then afterwards I've gone in, picked out the teeth and the eyes, and then just with the brush I've gone back in and painted in some lines where the shadows would be, again just with the original contrast colour, just to tone it back a little bit. It just neatens it up, and as you can imagine, for the wargs there, that was really, really, really quick. So we have the orc or goblin warg riders. So the same process for the wargs, and the same zenithal process for all of it. And then for the orcs themselves, pretty simple. I've kept to a simple colour palette for all of them, using a mixture of brown contrast paints for all their clothes. So wildwood, cygor, bit of snakebite leather. Trying to stick to browns all the way through. And then I've added red as the one kind of repeating colour that pops a little bit more. Don't want to add any blues and things like that. It doesn't really match with orcs. And it's a lot brighter than I may go if I was painting it at 28mm, but at this scale I think I want something to pop and draw the eye. So red will be the repeating theme colour throughout this. Black will look really, really nice, but it's also at this scale it can just all look too dull on the table. I've also used a little bit of Agras Dunes, so there was some sort of a dirtyish white cream cloth on there as well. As I said, there's a red shield there, and I've made sure that the silver's quite bright in certain things. There's just little bits of colour to draw the eye. I've mostly gone with green for the orcs. I quite like the kind of the Lord of the Rings films with the kind of more brown and reddish skin, but again it's really hard to make it stand out on miniatures of this scale, so I've gone for a mixture of mostly green with a few almost flesh coloured, just to make sure, you know, show some different kind of orcs in Middle Earth wise. They definitely vary in their appearance, but yeah, I will do a painting tutorial for one of these at some point, and I'll go through the colours properly how I did it, but I think they look alright for something for the tabletop. And here's an infantry stand of orcs as well, using the same process as I did for the riders. Again, just trying to have things to draw the eye, so that there's zenithal, the contrast, and then some quite sharp highlights on the top where the light hits, so on the red, using the silvers, even the tops of the shields where it's brown, just picking out the colour a little bit, just things to sort of lift them and draw the eye. So in many ways they're a lot cleaner then I'd paint them in a bigger scale. I'd want them to look dull and dirty to match that kind of grim Peter Jackson looking Lord of the Rings, but again, this is going to be half film, half book, and also, you know, paying attention to the scale and what looks right at that scale, and makes it simple to paint. But same processes that you'll have seen for the Warlord Epic stuff that I've done in tutorials, really. I just think it works quite well at this scale for a relatively nice tabletop looking army. Well, that's it for the first vlog, really. I just wanted to sort of talk you through my thoughts so far on what I've done. As I said, it will be a little bit of a slower grow thing, but it's a nice little palette changer from painting dudes with muskets and rifles to occasionally doing a little bit of fantasy stuff. I'm still really enjoying the smaller scale things at the moment and the idea of mass battles. So I thought I'd share it with you, as I said at the beginning, because there has been quite a lot of interest, and so I'd rather keep that interest going so people know that it's something that interests me, and then you will see on the channel. If you're only a historical gamer, don't worry, there's going to be mostly historical stuff on the channel, but if you do like this stuff, there will be some on there as well. So yeah, let me know what your thoughts are, any thoughts you have for the project. Thanks for all the comments on the previous video. There will be more of these. I will probably do a painting tutorial for the wargs and for the orcs at some point as well, just to add a little bit of variety in there. I may well finish all of those before I start on the dwarves and the elves and things, and as I say, spread it out a little bit as well. I'll pop a couple of images up as I always do, and you're probably already looking at them now, of the miniatures closer to. But thanks very much for watching. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel and give the video a like, and I'll catch you all soon.